Hello, my loves. Welcome back to the Medieval Tom podcast in a place that finally looks familiar to you. And if this doesn't look familiar to you, maybe you should subscribe.
Subscribe now.
Welcome back to the Medieval Tom podcast. I am Medieval Tom. This podcast is called Medieval Tomfoolery, and that's because I talk about whatever I want, whenever I want. And today we're going to talk about things that make me feel uncomfortable or awkward. And I have a little list because, God forbid, I remember something for more than 5 minutes. And here is my beautiful little microphone. I still haven't invested in a nice one because I'm not a successful podcaster yet. You can change that. So I think we're going to go ahead and start out with something that I know all too well, which is after you get into a therapy session, it's okay. Going to therapy is okay. You go into a therapy session, you are sitting there and you're talking about the biggest trauma and biggest secrets of your life. You maybe cry a little bit, you get emotional, and then all of a sudden, the hour's up and your therapist goes, okay, I think we should schedule another appointment. And you sit there and you wipe your tears away and you're like, yeah, sounds good. And then you sit there in a little bit of shame. You think about it, because what do you do in that moment? Do you pull out your phone and pretend you're looking at your calendar? Do you say something? What do you do in that situation? Because I've never learned what to do. I have not learned what to do. And then the walk of shame after you're like, thanks for talking with me about the biggest emotional traumas of my life. And then you say, have a good day. And then you walk out. As someone who's going into a psychological field, maybe even becoming a therapist, this is something that scares me. Because what am I supposed to do if I'm a therapist and the hour's up? I feel bad if I have to cut the person off, because I feel bad when I get cut off. This is something that makes me very nervous as someone going into a potential counseling field. But I digress. Let's move on. Yes, the classic of you're in the bathroom, a public bathroom. You're sitting there, you are blasting ass, and all of a sudden, you hear someone come in. You can't stop what you're doing. So what do? You keep going. You keep going, and the person comes and sits in the stall next to you, even though all the other stalls are empty, and they listen to you. And you can't stop. You can't control Mother Nature. And so you get done blasting your ass, and you walk out of the stall somehow at the exact same time as the other person. And you meet at the sink. Do you say something? Do you look at them and go, how's it going? It's like men at urinals. When men stand next to each other at urinals, do you guys chat with each other? Do you make conversation? Or do you just let it be? Because what do you say in that scenario? Do you play it off? Because that person knows what you did. They know what you did. So, do you make the conversation? Do you just stand there in silence? Do you break down a little boogie? What do you do? Let me know in the comments below. Next, we have the age-old, time-old, whatever the saying is, thing of choosing what you want at a restaurant. Most of the time, this is a fast food restaurant where there's a menu and you're standing there at a register and you're trying to decide what you want. And then it takes you forever because this is a restaurant you've only been to once or twice, maybe even none. Maybe this is your first time. And so you don't know what you want. And you forgot to check the menu online before you went in. It's okay. I do it. But you forgot to do it this time. And you go up to the counter and the person starts to go, hi, what can I get for you today? And you don't know. So you say, just 1 minute, please. And then the poor person at the register is stuck there staring at you while you're trying to choose what you want. And most menus have 100 items for no reason. And so you're looking there and you're like, and then even worse, when someone comes in behind you and you have to be like, I'm a fucking idiot, okay? You can go ahead first. Go ahead. You can go ahead. And then they're like, oh, you don't know what you want? And they're like a regular there, and the people know the guy by name, and they're like, hey, Jerry. And Jerry knows what he wants. He wants a burrito. I don't know what restaurant we're at. It's a terrible feeling to be standing there and holding up a line, and then you have to go, no, you go, I don't know what I want yet. Which is why 99% of the time, I will look at a menu online. Because I get scared when I don't know what I want. A lot of times what I'll do is I know what I want before I even go into the store or the restaurant. And I go in and I pretend that I didn't look at the menu beforehand. And so what I'll do is I'll look at the menu beforehand, and then I'll go in and I'll be like, wow, so many choices. And then I go, I think I want this. But all along, I knew what I wanted. I just didn't want to look like a anxiety-ridden freak. But we're all human. What can I say? Next, I haven't driven in a while, so this one hasn't applied to me in forever. But when you are driving, most of the time this is like late at night. It's like 2 in the morning, let's say. And it's like you and 3 other people on the road, maybe. And you pull up to a stoplight, and it's 2 lanes. It has to be 2 lanes at least. And you pull up to a stoplight, and someone comes up beside you. They come up beside you, and you are jamming to your music. You're living it up. You're like, there's no one else in these streets. This is just me. I'm living it up. That's why you like night driving. And you're jamming out, and you're enjoying it. Maybe even your window's down. Maybe your window's down. Sue me, okay? So your window's down, and all of a sudden, you look to your right. There's a person next to you. There's a person on your right. They pulled up beside you. Beside you when you were jamming out. And they saw you jamming for a good 30 seconds before you realized, because you were jamming too hard to Taylor Swift. And you were just living it up to Bad Blood by Taylor Swift. And all of a sudden, a person pulls up next to you, and you're like, ooh, do you keep jamming? Do you keep jamming? The person already knows you're jamming. And it's like an older lady or an older man, and they're like giving you a look, they're like, but in their head they're thinking, to be young and jamming to Taylor Swift again. But you think that they're judging you so harshly. Do you stop? Do you just sit there like, or do you keep jamming, knowing that they know that you're jamming? What do you do? What do you do in that situation? Next we have, I have not experienced this yet, but next we have when a person or a couple says that they're trying for a baby. One, Sharon, I did not need to know that you're trying for a baby. I do not need to know how much sex you are having. You do not need to tell me that you and your partner are trying for a baby, because I know what that means. I know what that means. I know what you're doing when you go home at night, every night. And I feel like as a society, we need to stop sharing that we're trying for a baby. I don't have a professional mic yet. Doesn't filter out all the sounds of the city. Hang on. I have a point to make. I think as a society, we should stop saying, I'm trying for a baby, and just tell us when you are pregnant. Okay, Sharon, I think it's important to know when you are pregnant. I don't need to know that you're trying. I'm not going to have any advice for you. What am I supposed to say? Cool. Epic sauce. Swag. I don't know. What do you say? Because, honestly, who who has a response to that besides like your mother, who's excited for getting a grandchild? Because a normal person, like your coworker, is gonna be like, so you're banging, okay? Good for you. I'm not. Next. This is only a me thing. I'm gonna get hate in the comments, but guys, this is my opinion. You don't have to agree with everything I say. It'd be nice if you did, but that's not the world, is it? I hate shaking someone's hand. Because why is it so complicated to shake somebody's hand? I reach out, not with this hand. My hands are sweaty, don't shake them yet. I reach out, and my hands are sweaty because it's hot as balls in my room. And I reach out, and I try to shake your hand, and my hands are sweaty. And in your head, you're like, ew, what a weirdo. Why are her hands sweaty? And you don't know my life. You don't know. But maybe you think my hands are sweaty because I'm an anxiety-ridden freak, which is true, but you don't have to say it. Maybe this person was itching their butt cheeks beforehand. Not me. I wasn't. Let's get that straight. But a person could. You don't know what they do with their hands. These bad boys, my hands look gigantic, holy shit. These bad boys do a lot of stuff that I don't want to know about. I don't want to know about. Thank you. And I liked it during COVID when we didn't shake people's hands. We walked up to a person and we were like, hi, how's it going? And that was it. That was it. 6 feet apart? Perfect. There's no room for a handshake there. There's no room. Save room for Jesus. No handshake. No. And then like, this is just me being a judgmental butt face, but I hate feeling the texture of someone's hands as well. No shame at all for people's hands, but it's just like such a weird feeling and texture for me when I shake someone's hand and then all of a sudden I feel their hand and I'm like, ooh, no, thank you. I did a job interview recently. I was the one giving the interview, and I sat down and the person reached out their hand to give me a handshake, and not because I don't like handshakes, because it's a weird thing of mine, but because I just didn't acknowledge the fact that they were trying to give me a handshake, because I haven't given a handshake in forever, because I tend not to. And I just completely dodged his handshake. And it made me feel awful a little bit, just because he looked so defeated. And it made me seem like a jerk. So, if you ever meet me on the street, do not shake my hand, because I will be icked out, and it's not your fault. It's a me problem. It's me. I'm a problem. So anytime, if I meet you guys on the street, please, for the love of God, do not reach out your hand to me, because I will ignore you, and I will say, no thanks. Thanks. The last one I have written down, because my tiny pea brain can't think of things, is when you're in class. This can be any class in the world, but when you're in class and it's the terrible day where your teacher's in the front of the classroom and they go, for this next activity, find a partner. And you don't have friends. You don't have friends in that class. You're too nervous to ask the person next to you their name. They already are friends with the person next to them, and you're sitting on the edge of the table, and that's the only other person around you, and there's only one other person across the room that also hasn't already made friends somehow. How are people making friends? That's another thing. Because I'm sitting here, and I am a fairly social person, but then it's so hard for me to make friends in classes. And it's weird because you're taking a class, in college at least, you're taking a class that you want to take. And so you're taking it because it's an interest of yours, and so you think that the people next to you would also be interested in this, and you could talk about that. But I have never successfully made a friend from any of my classes. But I digress. I'm getting a little off topic. And the only other person in the entire classroom that has not made any friends yet is all the way over there. And your teacher is very adamant about you not being in a group of 3, You have to be in pairs. Somehow it works out perfectly so that there's groups of 2, and it's you and that one other person left. And you're sitting there, and you're like, wow, oh boy, I sure hope someone picks me, chooses me, loves me. And they don't. They don't love you. They don't pick you, and they don't choose you. And so you have to shame walk as the teacher wraps it up and is like, okay, go ahead and go over there, Tom, you gotta go be friends with that person. And I go, okay. And it's nothing against the person across the room. Honestly, if anything, I'm glad to get a little bit of social hour in. But I have to pick up my stuff, because the other person doesn't want to move. Fair. And I have to pick up all my shit, and I grab my backpack, throw it over my shoulder, I pick up all the stuff that I got comfy on my table, and I do a little walk of shame across the entire dang classroom. And everyone goes, wow, she kind of sucks. She doesn't have any friends. Who is this girl? God. And I feel embarrassed, and I feel ashamed, and I feel sad. And I go over there, and it's like the nicest person ever, but they just sat on this other side of the classroom the entire time. And then, you know what? After I feel embarrassed and ashamed, and I make friends with this partner, and we get each other's names, we get each other's socials, I never see them again. Somehow, in like the 30 to 50 people classroom in college that I saw this person in, I never see them again. And they never follow me back on Instagram. They never answer any of my text messages. And then I'm just left there feeling dumb. I thought I made a friend, and I didn't. And it's just sad. And it makes me sad. So, you know, what can you do? There are embarrassing things in life. Life is embarrassing. Sometimes you just have to suck it up, make friends with the people in the bathroom after you blast ass. Because they saw you in some of your most vulnerable moments. They're gonna be a good friend, I can guarantee it. That is a Medieval Tom guarantee. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this episode here. This was episode 3. If you guys haven't seen the other 2, go ahead and check them out. This one was a little wild, a little crazy. I'm filming later at night. I'm trying to get in some content for you guys, and I appreciate the patience if I miss a week or anything. I have a lot going on. But I wanted to do this fun little episode because I love just chatting with you guys. It is a joy. And seeing your guys' opinions in the comments. If any of you know what to do in any of these situations to make it less terrible, please, for the love of God, let me know. Because I need some advice in my life. I really do. And I hope to see you guys in my next video, whatever that may be.